for some food and follow the crowd to where the street gets loud like bees to the honey they soar. Oh, when it's time to feed that insatiable need, line up at the spiritist door. One last slice, one last slice, Greek pepperoni or just plain cheese. One last slice, one last slice, one last chance for a slice tonight, please. If you've had enough of grinder or scruff, please don't dismay. There are plenty of meats down at the paper plates. It's the old-fashioned way. And the night is buzzing and the dark-eyed stranger gives you a double check. It's one-stop shopping for additional topping. Go underneath the boot slip deck. One last slice, one last slice, Greek pepperoni or just plain cheese. Give me one last slice, one last slice, one last chance for a slice tonight, please. Hoppa! Bicycle's lost a wheel. There's a drag queen's band by the garbage can and a broken stiletto heel. And all the pizza girls are smiling because they grew up here this way. And the Eastern Europeans wonder, is this really the USA? One last slice, one last slice, Greek pepperoni or just plain cheese. Give me one last slice, one last slice, one last chance for a slice tonight, please. Cha-cha-cha! Hello, beautiful people. Look, we have a lovely group of real live people. Thank you for coming. Welcome to a slice. Thanks. Welcome to a slice of Provincetown. This is my own particular slice of the PTOWN pie. And who lives here full year round? And who lives here in the summer? And who's just visiting? Okay, hi. Anyone's first time here? No, okay. So you all, you had the spell of PTOWN because I came here in 1990. I was just passing through. And the rest is history. I came to play outside the town hall. I was just going to busk and play on the street, and the first person that came by to put $1 in my hat was Leah Delaria. And the rest is history. I just, and the town embraced me. I was just traveling through, and I quickly got an apartment, a little apartment that was nestled in between Spiritus Pizza, there it is, it's the dive, in between the pizza place and the ranch guest house for men. So I learned a lot about Provincetown. Everything was happening outside and in my yard. I mean, Spiritus is really the nucleus of town, I always think, and in the day it's busy and there's fashion shows and all sorts of people watching to go on in the evening. There's throngs of men cruising, and I always think it's like bees. At night I'd sometimes fall asleep and hear bees buzzing. And then at Women's Week it was like, and I loved it so much. I lived there for 25 years in that little rustic apartment, and there were fights, there was love making, all sorts of things went on outside. I remember when the Gay Men's Chorus came to town, and we'd have a reenactment of The Sound of Music often going on there, and I'd come home to skunks in my alleyway. Remember when we had skunks? I'd come back after the gigs, and then once I found a possum in my kitchen. And I'd always find gay men sitting on the stairs trying to peer into the Spiritus bathroom for a quick peek. They've since boarded it up. And the 1990 was also the end of the AIDS epidemic. And I remember some wonderful people that I met. Town lost so many darling members of our community. And I was just there at the end, but I met Franco, who had a restaurant, and Richard Weinstock, who had Rick's, which is now the Monkey Bar, and they gave me my first piano jobs in town, which I'm forever grateful. And we lost them. And the AIDS support group was marvelous at that time, and still is. And also I remember going to my very first tea dance, and I come from England. So as I was going and expecting some Earl Grey, maybe as some potted plants in a string quartet. But it was not like that at all. It was marvelous. And, you know, I thought I'd meet some cowboys when I came to America, and I did, because line dancing was all the rage. And it was full of beautiful cowboys, all these handsome cowboys, and I couldn't believe it. And you know, some of them had to say goodbye to each other in those days. Well, this is a handsome cowboy. Give it up for Parker. Saturday night, I can be who I wanna be, hold who I like. You can call me Loretta if you will be Hank, and you wear the bandana just so. Well, if you twirl me around, you may accidentally steal my heart, like you did. Now the years have gone by, it's still yours, so you might as well take it along when you go. It's just 2 steps to heaven, and you feel no more pain. If you 2 step to heaven, you'll be dancing. And my cowboy had never been anywhere near where the buffalo roam, with the wind in my hair, far away look in my eye. Well, it's a crazy old world to be told that our love isn't real. Nothing's as real now as holding your hand and not letting go. I'm simply just saying goodbye. It's just 2 steps to heaven, and you feel no more pain. If you 2 step to heaven, well, you'll be dancing again. Always an angel, the sweet sawdust angel. I'll meet you there, we can go dancing.
Always an angel, the sweet sawdust angel. I'll meet you there, we can go
2 steps to heaven, and you feel no more pain. If you 2 step to heaven, you'll be dancing again. Every day we'd cycle to Herring Cove. The straight beach was on the right, the gay beach was on the left. First it was the lesbians, far left the boys, and in between the bisexuals. Mixed on with all of this, the townies. Cooks, dishwashers, watrons, busboys, smith girls, art students, wannabe writers. Some wore clothes and some didn't. And we all yelled out, "Ranger!" when our paradise was threatened. These were the days when you only needed one job to survive in Provincetown, and the rent was significantly cheaper. And you know, that was when I was doing tons of piano jobs. When my first summer here, I had 13 shows a week. I mean, I was in my 20s. But I'd go to all these gigs, I'd double up most nights, and you know, it was great. And often I'd be playing restaurants, and sometimes I was invisible. People would be chatting and eating their lobster or whatever while I was playing. Sometimes they'd clap, sometimes they'd tip, sometimes they'd heckle. But it's a great way to learn, I suppose, learn a culture and learn a town from behind the piano. You're like a fly on the wall. I'd watch people. So I learned a lot about it, you know. You remember that when you're in a piano bar. You're watching them, they're watching you. So it was wonderful. And I actually learned quite a lot about the art of the tip jar. This is my very first tip jar from 1991. And I learned with this little one, soon I learned that if you look at a person's eyes and then into the tip jar like that, it works better. As they pass. You have to do a lot of things as they pass. Like Then I learnt in 1997, this is the better model here, less subtle, a bit larger, nice concaved entrance for the money to go in. This is a more recent variety. It's not Qya, and then I was trying to buy a neon arrow, but this is this helps people notice it. I'll give this to you, Sarah. But this is for anyone who's worked or played for tips. I'm sure many of you have. I'm playing for tips. I'm playing for tips. I'm watching you eat your fish and chips. I'm doing my art. I'm singing my heart out. It's true. Did you enjoy that lobster stew? I'm playing for tips. I'm playing for tips. Are you aware I'm reading your lips? Sometimes a smile, or once in a while, or just a look in the eye is all I need to make the hours fly when I'm playing for tips. She came here in May with the idea to pay off her college degree. It didn't go as she planned, but on the other hand, she learned lots about her sexuality. He's new to the area, from Bulgaria. 3 jobs are fine. I tip him 20% so he can cover his rent, with 4 to a room on the Truro line. We're working for tips, we're working for tips. We're bringing you all your fish and chips. When we're in the weeds, we're feeling your needs, it's true.
Did you enjoy that lobster stew?
We're working for tips, we're working for tips.
This Augustitis really rips.
Sometimes a smile, once in a while, or just a look in the eye is all we need to make the hours fly when we're working for tips. We're working for tips. We're working for tips. When I'm playing for tips. That's Roxanne. Give it up for Roxanne. Well, as I said before, yes, you are live, lovely people, and it's still a novelty to us, because you know when the pandemic hit, all of the gigs dried up. We had no work, as you know, and so what did we do? We racked our brains, and actually Sarah Burrell was an inspiration to me because she did a virtual show. I've got Sarah Burrell in the audience here, and I thought, look, Sarah Burrell! All the celebrities are here. And I thought, well, that's a brilliant idea. Let's start one here in the garden in where I live here, and we'll have a virtual show. So Zoe Lewis and the Social Distancers were born, and I put the piano here and the computer in front, and it was March, so the weather wasn't good, and I said, Roxanne, do you want to be in it? And she said yes, and she turned up, and she played outside. I kept her in the garden, and we kept us socially distanced, and she would play through the window, and it was blowing a gale. Sometimes your hair was blowing, it snowed, we had all sorts of rain, everything, but the show went on, and people tuned in from all over the world. Truly, at 6 o'clock, we have, on Thursdays, we were always inventing a new show, and PTOWN, being what it is, came and joined in. So many local performers came and performed through my window, and it was a veritable who's who of Provincetown in the yard. We had Thirsty Burlington, the town crier, there's Qya, there's Roxanne and a naughty nurse, there's Lamb Chop, there's the British show, we have Bitch, I mean we're zooming through a bit, here is the Cigarette Girl, there's the Moon, and there's the Abaloos who are in that house, yes, and so many friends came in, and this is just a little sprinkling, and it helped us get through. We laughed, and apparently the people on the other end laughed too, and we missed we missed the humans, but some magic happened that we could feel them through the computer. I mean, I don't know, did anyone tune in? Did any of you say, I felt you, you felt us. We had so many connections, it was lovely. And at that time I was visiting my dear friend Ilona Roy-Smithkin. She made it to 101, we lost her last year, there she is. And I was telling her about the shows, and there's my eye, she drew my eye. And she loved to hear about the shows, and I'd tell her everything. I'd go on Fridays and tell her what happened on Thursdays. And she said, darling, it's great that it's hard times, but you're making the most of it. I mean, the world's gone crazy. We just have to grab those glimmers of hope and hang on to them, everybody. And she said, you know, it's too short. Don't blink, because you're gonna miss it. That's when I wrote this. There's a drag queen in my kitchen. There's a feather in my tea. There's a trombone through my window, serenading me. And I'm missing our connection. May I sing you a song? We better dance in the rain, my friends, for the show must go on. And if you're feeling all alone, know the world is here with you. 'Cause life is full of punches, it's much shorter than we think. So be careful you don't miss it if you blink. There's a ballerina in the garden, she's pirouetting with the moon, and Liberace's getting ready for a tickle and a tune. And the cigarette girl hurries with her props upon a plate. In a time of destruction, let's create. And if you're feeling all alone, know the world is here with you. 'Cause life is full of punches, it's much shorter than we think. So be careful you don't miss it if you blink. Here we go. Da 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 da. Sing with us. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. One more time. Ba ba da da da. Ba da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Paper theatre. There's a heart upon a stick. There's a lady from Cuba. There's a burlesque kick. And we giggle just like schoolgirls to every lamb chop joke. 'Cause laughter is the medicine and music is the hope. And if you're feeling all alone, know the world is here with you. 'Cause life is full of punches, it's much shorter than we think. So be careful you don't miss it if you blink. Everybody! Well, one time you must never blink is when you're riding your bicycle along Commercial Street. Who's ridden a bicycle along Commercial Street? Tons of you crazy people! And the thing is, it's like a video game, really. You're just like weaving past all the people, especially right now. There's so much going on. But you do get good at it. And this song I performed way back on this very stage when Snail Road, my first musical that I ever wrote, happened here in the art house. And I have to do this now because, you know, Provincetown and bicycles go hand in hand. They always have. I mean, my bicycle becomes part of my body by the time August comes along. It just, you know. And Provincetown is a very unusual town, well, for many reasons, but Commercial Street is actually the only street in the United States of America where it's legal for cars to go one way, but bicycles to go two ways. So if anyone yells at you and tells you off, no, they are incorrect, and a police officer will stand up for you because it's legal. It's okay to do that. I'm not sure about electric bikes, which I personally think are cheating. But anyway, no, because so the two-way traffic for bicycles always was the way from back in the day, and they apparently used to have a sign at the beginning of Commercial Street that said both ways, but they kept getting stolen, of course. So, and this is a picture of my bicycle, my 1945 Western Flyer. I'm very proud of her, and I think this is the lady that owned it before me. Bicycle, I can speak to everybody on Commercial Street. I'm gonna ring my bell, it's a sunny day and the ocean's calling, get out my way. Hello seagull, hello ice cream, hello thirsty, hello Volagine, hello trolley, hello truck, hello poodle, don't push your luck. Bicycle, it feels so good, terrorizing the neighborhood. I'm gonna race the pedicabs, dodge the cars, it's the middle of summer, look, no handlebars. Hello Boobalus, hello Canteen, hello Leather Daddy, hello Muscle Queen, hello Town Crier, hello Traffic Cop. Look, they opened another pot shop. Bicycle to Fatherland, riding around on a pile of sand in a dizzy July and August bliss. All I know is it doesn't get better than this. Hello stroller, hello car door, hello pizza, oops, hello floor, hello hunking, hello frown. New York place, you better slow down. On my bicycle, I can speak to everybody on Commercial Street. I'm gonna ring my bell. It's a sunny day and the ocean's calling. Get out the way, get out the way. Please get out the way, come on, get out the way. Roxanne playing the bicycle. It takes great skill to play a bicycle like that. Everyone wants that bicycle, they can't have it. Provincetown's a bit like an onion. It has so many layers, and the longer you live here, you know, I've been here more than 30 years now, peel away the layers and you'll find a new marvelous thing to explore. You know, you first come here to party, and there's all sorts of different ways to party, and then you gradually start spending much more time with the nature, and then you find the many layers. But I love the elders here because they tell the tales from back in the day. And I remember being in the Muse restaurant, and I was sitting at the bar, and there was a lady there who was telling tales of Provincetown in the Depression. Her name was Charlotte Matter. This was quite a few years ago. And she was just lovely, and I was listening to her, and she was saying how she was married to a fisherman when she first came here, and they got on all right, but then she got rid of him, and she married the Five and Dime store owner, which apparently the Five and Dime store was Varelli's restaurant. And I loved Charlotte so much, and we hung out, and she'd tell all the tales. And I remember she worked for Fantasia Fair. You know, the largest transgender gathering is in October, and she would cook for them. I love how all the different parts of our community mingle. She was probably in her 90s when I met her, or maybe late 80s. Anyway, Depression was so hard, and they had nothing all of a sudden to sell from the Five and Dime store. So she thought, well, what can I do to keep me and the family going? And she was a very good cook, and she made pies, and she sold them. And the fishermen loved Charlotte's pies. She made all sorts of pies, and they kept coming back for more, and she kept her family and herself solvent throughout the whole Depression. So when she ended up in the old folks' home, Cape End Manor, I would go and visit her, Pingwood too. And anyway, she'd tell the tales and tell us her pie recipes again and again and again.
Apple,
and again.
blueberry, peach,
There's Charlotte.
lemon, mince, squash, pumpkin, rhubarb, strawberry. That's a lot of pie.
That's a lot of pie. Hello, my name is Charlotte. I live by the sea in a little town, and I know everybody, and everybody seems to know me. I came from Nova Scotia when I was just a young thing. I married a man and I worked so hard I didn't get to dance or sing. The years go by and I find me another. He got a five and dime, heart's full, belly's empty. And come Depression time, my little baby's crying. It's tougher than it's ever been, so I went to work with my mixing bowl, my wooden spoon, and my rolling pin. Pies, blackberry pies, I made pies, chicken pies, I made pies, pumpkin pies, I made pies, real lemon pies, pies, cherry pies, I made pies, graham pies, I made pies, green pies. Here it comes. Hot pies for the public. Give it up for our lovely chef. Next time, sing along. Oh, it's 5 a.m. in the morning, and I greet the winter sun with donuts by the dozen and a pile of shiny hot cross buns. And did you know fishermen's dreams are sometimes spicy, sugary, warm to help them on the roughest ocean through the cruelest storm? The stars and moon are shining with a little bit of hope on this dark night. The baby's sleeping, and I know everything's gonna be alright. We're gonna get through Christmas, gonna pick the flowers in the spring. Thank the Lord for my mixing bowl, my wooden spoon, my rolling blackberry pies, blackberry pies. I make pies, chicken pies, I make pies, pumpkin pies, I make pies, real lemon pies, pies, cherry pies, I make pies, graham pies, I make pies, green pies. Here it comes. Pies for the public. By the sea in a little town, I know everybody, and everybody seems to know me. And now my hair's the color of a snowflake. I got a couple of aching bones, and there are just too many of us to room in the old folks' home. Too many to room, yeah. and I'm not very keen on the food here. But I don't mean to complain, give me respect. I'll give you love, don't treat me like a child again. I'm always by this window, so please drop in, and I'll tell you the story of my mixed-in bowl. Once upon a roll and pretty meat pies, blackberry pie. I make pies, chicken pie. I make pies, pumpkin pie. I make pies, real lemon pie. I make pies, cherry pie. Get your pie, lemon pie. Charlotte's pie, pretty pie. Here it comes. Pies for the party. Ready? Calm down, please. The Provincetown onion. Let's peel back another. And what do we find? The artists, the writers, the renegades, the free thinkers, the ones that came here because of the beautiful light and the colourful surroundings. And I love all the artists here, so incredible. One day I was lucky enough to meet British artist Peter Hutchinson. I was examining a caterpillar on a leaf, and he knew exactly what kind of butterfly it would turn into. I was like, you're my friend. I love you. And he also had caterpillars for eyebrows, which was amazing, so I loved him even more. And Peter, he's part of the land art movement. His work is in MoMA in New York, the Pompidou Center in Paris, and all over the world. But here he lives the life really of a hermit in a small cabin with a studio and a wild, rambling, magical garden. I love to visit him. He's another of our town's many treasures. He's 92. Continually inspired. He's always making, and he's always been beautifully curious. Head in the clouds, far from the crowds, caterpillars and snails, dark earth under my nails. How'd you suppose a rose is a rose? All I can do is experience blue. Mushrooms, monarchs and weeds, maples I started from seed. These are my friends, here till the end. about that. Somewhere under my skin, always a foreigner, hard to fit in, but it's magic you find with a curious, curious mind. It's Memorial Day and it's busy already. It's kind of the dress rehearsal for the summer, isn't it? It suddenly gets busy here and then it calms down again, and then it's a throng of people, and it's lovely. We welcome them, we love them. But sometimes by August, especially when I was living next to Spiritus, it would be a bit much. And I would walk out onto the street because it was always thronging. So it's like the bees, the buzzing of the bees. I keep mentioning it. The energy affects you. I love the energy here. It's amazing. But sometimes when there's techno pouring out of every doorway in an evening, I just want to go and look at stars. So just peel back another of the layer of the onion and let's go down to the pier and come with me, everybody, and we'll escape it all. Grab your fishing poles. In a town they call Moonlight, away from the bustle of tourists and taffy and pizza and beer, there's a place where I go where the water is swimming with stars by the fishing boats down at the pier. I'm not one for clubbing, I really must say. I feel much more like dancing when I'm underneath the Milky Way. Hold my hand in my heart if you like me, okay? Come on, let's go squidding with the grandpas and boys. I'm really not kidding, it's full of summertime joys. I've got ink on my hands and a jig on the line and enough in my bucket for dinner time. Let's go squidding with the grandpas and boys. And the seagulls are squabbling over a fish head and top knots one-legged. Instructions begin. There's a splash of a bass and the lines start crossing and 200 tentacles run for their skin. If you tease them a little from out of the deep, you will find that your heart's beating fast for the rest of the week. Wide awake while the trolley cars and the dancing cup sleeps. Way everybody, let's go squidding. Thank you. With the grandpas and boys. I'm really not kidding, it's full of summertime joys. I got ink on my hands and a tick on the line and enough in my pocket for dinner time. Let's go squidding with the grandpas and boys. And slowly I open my eyes in the morning to the silver mink, the liberty and the sweet Josephine. What a night to remember, still damp with the ripe smell of seaweed, anchors and fisher folk dreams. 'Cause I'm not one for clubbing, and I really must say I feel much more like dancing when I'm underneath the Milky Way. Hold my hand in my heart if you like me, okay? Stay with us, let's go squidding. Let's go squidding with the grandpas and boys. With the grandpas and boys. I'm really not kidding, I'm really not kidding. It's full of summertime joys, full of summertime joys. I got ink on my hands and a don't know if any of you have been squidding, but it's very much fun. Yeah, maybe I'm giving away too many secrets in this musical. But one secret that is everyone knows are the whales while we're down on the pier. Who's been whale watching? Anyone ever been whale watching? We have the most amazing whale watching here in Provincetown. They all come and eat and feed off the Salwagon bank. We have minkies early and humpbacks and fins and the very, very endangered right whale. I mean, all of them are endangered. The right whale is very near extinction. And, but we are very lucky to have the Center of Coastal Studies here, which we adore with amazing scientists. You know, they do such great work. They, you know, entangled whales get released by them. They do educational stuff. They study the right whales. I mean, they're phenomenal. And, you know, the scientists, well, we're friendly with some of the scientists, and I actually have asked one of them to come and demonstrate. She's been doing some research with the communicating, because we need to listen to the whales more. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Qya Cristal. This is Cloudy. Hello, Cloudy. Hello, Cloudy. And so you've been working with them with a recorder. They have been responding, yes?
Yes, I have.
Good. Could you tell me if there's a particular key they enjoy better?
They like the key of C.
Oh, of course. Yes. And you've been having some good response. Why don't you show us maybe how you can...
Let me demonstrate.
Speak? Yes. I always have been right, said the whale. Can't you see? You keep me up at night because you harm my family. The sky's gone grey and my heart has too. And when I'm extinct, do you think you'll say you knew? The future's looking grim. We're all in decline. The humpback and the fin, but the worst fate is mine. The climate's changing, the balance is wrong. The ocean is crying, drowning out my song. Just fine until those humans came. Now I'm tangled up in line and I'm running out of time. Can you not see the truth behind my name? Said the whale. Thank you, Connie. And you'll give us more lectures another day. So we're zooming through this show, and you are just lovely to be here. And you're a fabulous audience. We opened last night. It was our opening night, and this is our closing night. So we're just, but you know, we might bring this back later on. meeting lovely friends here, and it's just fabulous. And of course, one of the layers of the onion, of course, a very important layer, is the LGBTQ layer, because this is the gayest town in the United States. And imagine when you were, maybe you came here when you were little. I certainly didn't. I come from a little village on the edge of the English channel, and I didn't imagine a place like this could possibly exist. So if I was a little Zoe and turned up here, I would have learned a lot about myself a bit earlier on, as I'm sure many of you can relate. And it's so important to tell kids to be themselves. You know, my eyelash lady always said, don't ever let anybody tell you how not to be yourself. And we embrace this in Provincetown. I always remember my mum visiting from England, and I'd just come out to her. She actually turned up during Leather Week. I forgot, that was an oversight on my part. She was like, oh, look at that man's bottom. And I'm like, no, look at the seagull, the seagull, the seagull. Anyway, it all went fine. And I loved it because I took her to the post office, and I remember the post office ladies were like, you have a lovely daughter. Everyone's all supportive. And then when, you know, our friends come with their parents, we're like, oh, your son is marvelous. We all run up and, you know, support. Kids need support. They need to be told they're wonderful, they're perfect. And I've been lucky enough to work with Camp Lightbulb, which is an LGBTQ youth group that comes here in June. And they are questioning, they're like, you know, from 12 to 18, they're all working themselves out, and they're just magnificent. And I wrote this song for them, and for everyone who's just trying to work themselves out, because you are beautiful, you're perfect, and there's someone, the only person really who can come and sing this song for me right now, because she is the perfect one. Please, she's taking PTOWN by storm. Put your hands together for the one and only Qya Cristal!
Hello, Provincetown! Yeah! Oh, I'm so happy to be here!
You're just perfect. Did I ever tell you you're so worth it? Did I ever tell you you're just perfect? Did I ever tell you you're so worth it? Don't be afraid to be yourself, 'cause you're divine, and all the things that make you different are the things that make you shine, shine, shine. Did I ever tell you you're just perfect? Did I ever tell you you're so worth it? Did I ever tell you you're just perfect? Did I ever tell you you're so worth it? Now don't run away. Keep your head up and keep your heart true, 'cause you're unique as any fingerprint. There has never been another quite like you. Did I ever tell you you're just perfect, Zoe? Did I ever tell you you're so worth it? Did I ever tell you you're just perfect? Did I ever tell you you're so worth it? Like a raindrop in the sky, like a swallow passing by, like a poem full of grace, like like a kiss up on my face, like an evening in July, like a newborn butterfly, like a petal, like a seed, like a scar, like a wind. And I got my new wig on, honey, so she's feeling extra fierce tonight, okay? Get into it.
Well, Qya, when did you first come to town?
Whew, that was the summer of 2012. I did my first show with the Gold Dust Orphan Theater Company. It was called Snow White and the Seven Bottoms. I had just turned 21, and boy, when I tell you, that was a hell of an experience. But mama, we survived. We're still here to live to tell the tale, and I have had absolute nothing but joy ever since. It's been 10 years.
10 years, and then you came back. Well, did you go traveling, or did you go away, or?
Yeah, so for the first 7 of the 10 years, I was back and forth between Boston and Provincetown. And then something happened in 2019, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna take the plunge and just move to Provincetown. Just see what a full winter is like, because I'd been doing, you know, Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and I was like, let's just see what it's like. And then a really funny thing happened after I moved here.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think that it was the right move, because I do not know if I could have handled myself in Boston during all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
At least in Provincetown, there was some semblance of peace and community, that we're all caring for each other, and we're like really checking in, being like, how are you? How are you doing? How is your family doing? And it was absolutely everything that I needed. It was everything I needed.
Well, I'm so happy that you're here, and she made it through 3 winters.
3?
Which is, I might have a medal. Who spent the winter in Provincetown? Has anyone spent the winter? You know, now I go and play in Puerto Vallarta. But
I'll join you sometime.
yeah, but I have spent many a winter here. I'm just telling you. And the thing is, I mean, we were laughing because, you know, when I come back and everyone's, you know that it's changing, that spring is coming, because, you know, the birds are flying and making their nests. You see little twigs in their mouths, and then you go to the Stop and Shop and people corner you and they talk for a long, long time.
Well, we've been talking to ourselves for the past 3 months, so it's just nice to talk to anybody else.
But, you know, and the weather's slightly changing. And you can almost feel the town sigh. Summer's near. Summer's near. Well, I can tell 'cause they're all climbing ladders, taking paintbrushes up to the sky. And my bicycle creaks full of winter and rust. So do I. So do I. But summer's near.
It's been cold, bitter cold, but now the little birds seem to be laughing, and the curious buds have been freed. Throw them breathe, 'cause summer's near.
Wake up your rowboats and your fishing poles. Open up the bottom drawer and grab your favorite clothes. 'Cause the dogs are dancing by the bay, icy blue and clear. They run extra fast today 'cause they know, yes they know, that summer's near. Me and you,
Me and you,
me and you,
me and you.
could I really have ever believed it? Not in a million years, that I'd wake on a cloudy morning and see your face and be sure that summer's near.
It's been cold,
It's been cold,
bitter cold,
bitter cold, but now the little birds seem to be laughing, and the curious ones have been freed. Throw open your windows and let all your old houses breathe. Let them breathe, 'cause summer's near. Well, you have been a delicious, delightful and delectable audience. Thank you so much for coming. I wish you a marvelous summer, wherever you will be. If you live here, I'll see you on the street. I'll wave on my bike. And if you go, you know, I think you're going to be coming back. Because just like me, when you leave Provincetown, a little bit of it leaves with you. When I go on tour in the winter, after a while, I can't stop dreaming about this place. I feel like there's a string attached, and it always pulls us back. You know, I've been to many a goodbye party to people, and then they just turn up the next summer. Again. That's how it is here. So, thank you so much again. I've got all sorts of shows this summer. Check out. One of them that feels like this, because I was reading Mary Heaton Vorse's Time and Town, 1942. Turned to this bit and I thought, this reminds me of how I feel, what I experienced when I first drove through Provincetown. It's a long street. When I walked through the low scrubby woods in back, through the dunes to the outside shore, was as definite, as acute as falling in love at first sight. The knowledge that this was to be my home forever did not come as a shock or with any sense of surprise. It was rather as though I was invaded by the town and surrounded by it, as though the town had literally got into my blood. I had also the sense of completion that a hitherto homeless person has on discovering home. Trains and cars and TVs in airport bars. Nobody here knows me very well. I've been on the road since New Year's Day and I'm full of far away. It's time to turn around, now I can tell. 'Cause there's a place beyond compare. Holds me tight and makes me feel alright, and I'm almost there. I'm speeding down 6, I'm speeding down 6. I've been away too long, I got my fix. Yes, I'm speeding down 6, I'm speeding down 6. I'm hurrying home. It's when I first catch sight of the dunes, my heart jumps over the moon and the monuments, reaching for the sky. 'Cause there's a place,
Oh, there's a place
beyond compare,
beyond compare.
holds me tight, makes me feel alright, and I'm almost there. I'm speeding down 6, I'm speeding down 6. I've been away too long, I got my fix. Yes, I'm speeding down 6, I'm speeding down 6. I'm hurrying home. Drive me fast into the sunset under a mountain sky. Lilac, iris, bluebell, aster. I'm watching the days go by. I'm speeding down 6, speeding down 6. I've been away too long, I got my fix. Yes, I'm speeding down 6, I'm speeding down 6. I'm hurrying home. I'm speeding down 6, I'm speeding down 6. I've been away